Chopin's Nocturne in F minor, Opus 55, is a beautiful piece that students love to play. And it's actually one of his easiest nocturnes, so it's a great piece to learn if you're just starting with Chopin nocturnes. I've been teaching this piece a lot recently, so it's fresh in my mind what students struggle with in this piece. So in today's piano lesson, I'm going to go page by page and talk about different practice strategies, the rhythm, pedal suggestions, and I'm going to give you ideas about how to play this expressively. Before we get started, I want to remind you how important it is to learn this piece and any piece from a good edition so that you have some guidance on pedaling, fingering, articulation, and dynamics. So I hope you'll grab our free PDF that lists our favorite classical piano music editions for all time periods, including this piece, and I've linked that in the description below. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the rhythm. On the first line, the main theme, you see this dotted eighth note with a 16th that follows it. You're going to see this rhythm a lot throughout the piece. I noticed that students don't hold the dotted eighth note long enough, so I recommend counting for 16th notes for a while until you get used to the rhythm. So 4E and a, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. If that's too much of a mouthful, you could try counting like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So you might find that easier. Let's talk about the little tiny notes on this first page. So in bar 4 and bar 12, you'll see these little notes. Those are called appoggiaturas. And the appoggiatura takes half the value of the following note. 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. Quickly moving over to the trills, the ornaments. So the trill at bar 6, I would start with a B flat because the previous note before the trill is a C, so that'll be a nice smooth transition. And if you're struggling with the trill, you don't have to do a fast, long trill. You could even simplify it to a turn. The trill at bar 14, there's some little notes before the trill. So you could start the trill on a B flat, but then you'll have 2 B flats in a row. I have heard it played like that, so. I've also heard it played where you start the trill on a C, so a little smoother transition. Notice the little notes after the trill, those are called portato notes. You'll see the little dots over the notes. And so there's also a slur. You want to play the notes detached, but the pedal will help us to smooth the notes out. They're in between legato and staccato, a portato. When you're first learning this piece, I recommend that you do a lot of hand separate practice because you're going to notice patterns in the music more visually, and that will help you to learn the piece quicker. So notice that the chords in bars 1 and 2 repeat in bars 3 and 4. And then it starts again in bar 5, and then in measure 6 is a little different. When you're practicing your left hand with the jumps, be careful about what fingering you choose. So try to avoid using a pinky on black keys. Using a 4th finger here helps me feel more secure. And here I have to use a pinky there. But here I'm going to use 1 and 3. I don't have to jump as far. If I use 1 and 5, I have to jump a little farther. So using a 1 and 3 helps me to avoid a really large jump. And here I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, or I could use 1, 3, 4, but that helps me feel more secure on that black key, avoiding a pinky there. Also practice your right hand alone without the pedal a lot. When you're first learning this, you'll be more aware of if you're connecting the notes with your fingers and also if you're holding the correct notes. So here, I'm going to do a finger transfer and I'm going to hold the dotted quarter notes. Just a quick pause to remind you to hit the like button if you're learning something from this video, and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more piano lesson videos like this. We have a lot of videos on our channel also for all pianists that will help you to learn how to practice more efficiently and stay motivated at the piano. I'd like to mention a few more details on this page. You'll notice at bar 16 these half notes in the left hand, then a detached note, and then you're supposed to connect into the following chord because there's a slur. So if you use this fingering 2, 3, then you can play this note detached, and then you can connect into the following chord. And then the next note is a half note, so make sure to hold that through. So doing some hand separate practice will help you to hear if you're doing these things correctly. And at bar 22, notice the half notes. So hold those half notes through. Let's talk about some ideas on how to play more expressively on this first page. So I like to start the beginning mezzo piano, so not too soft. Then when I get to bar 9, I'm going to repeat this main theme, and I'm going to put my soft pedal on so I get an echo effect. We don't want to play the theme 2 times in a row the exact same way. So I'm going to put my soft pedal on at bar 9 and play really light with my fingers. And bring that right hand melody out. Keep that left hand very light. We always have to be thinking about phrasing in order to play more expressively. We don't want to play like a metronome. So at bar 5, I'm going to show you this phrasing. Then here, wait, and start the new phrase. Softer. And then there's another phrase ending at bar 15 to there. Then here, I like to start to push the tempo forward, crescendo to the highest note. And then here you'll see a ritenuto, and that means to suddenly slow down. Moving on to the second page, there's this beautiful variation on the theme at bar 27. So take time to make that beautiful. Don't rush it. Here I like to gradually crescendo. Retard. Then here, this is repeated material from the first page, but we're deeper into the piece, so I would make this more dramatic. So I would get louder and I might push forward a little bit more. Suddenly slower and back in tempo. So most of this is a repeat of the first page material, but the main thing I want to emphasize is that you're keeping your left hand light and the right hand is singing the melody out and doing the dynamics. You might struggle a little with this polyrhythm here, bar 44, with the grace note. The main thing you want to think about here is keeping your left hand steady, like a metronome. Whoops, I missed the notes. And the right hand, the grace note, play that grace note lighter than the other notes. When you get to the più mosso, that means more motion. So we're going to be playing faster here to about bar 69. And how fast you play is up to you, how fast you can play clean. A good goal speed would be about 108 with the metronome, ticking for quarter notes. That's a tricky rhythm. You'll notice that the rhythm has changed here to triplets. So you're going to see a lot of triplets at bar 48 to the end. So practicing with the metronome will help you to feel this rhythm correctly. And you can count out loud to make sure you're getting 4 beats per measure. So I've got my metronome at 80 here. And so I'm going to count out loud 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a really tricky rhythm at bar 52 and also 56. You see the dotted 8th note with the 16th note again, like the beginning. So you could try that strategy, that counting strategy that I taught you for the first page here. So I'm going to start at bar 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I recommend that you experiment with the fingering on this più mosso section. These triplets tend to be technically challenging, so I like to use this fingering, 2s and 3s there, and then here, like that fingering. Whoops. So go to a 3. Bringing out the melody on these chords is really important on this page. So on this first set of chords, the top notes are just Fs. That's not very interesting. So the middle notes are more interesting. So we want to try to bring those out more. Then here, the top notes in the right hand have the melody, and left hand has a counter melody. Here, middle notes, then top notes. Practice the right hand a lot without the pedal here so that you can work on connecting the notes. So I have to lift my pinky each time here, but I can connect the lower notes. Here, I have to lift my thumb and my 2. So that's important to connect with your fingers, then it'll sound really smooth when you add the pedal. Hopefully you can't hear the chainsaw in the background. Without fail, every time I go to film a video, a neighbor decides to do some yard work. So on this next page, this is still part of the più mosso tempo, so we want to keep our tempo moving. I noticed that my students rush the quarter notes here. So you could count 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. It's a big mouthful, so another option would be do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So that's helpful so you don't rush those quarter notes. There's a lot of notes on this page and a lot of jumping around, and it's hard to play this page clean. So something that might help you, practice the left hand alone separately, and you'll notice that there's these octaves, a lot of octaves in the left hand, right there. Not here, but here, there's an octave, C, octave. So you could mark the octaves on your page, that might help you. And then practice the right hand alone a lot without the pedal again. work on connecting the notes, you'll notice that I'm doing some finger transferring here to connect the notes and in order to hold the half notes through. You can hear the intensity building on this page. The notes are moving higher, and the right hand has the highest chord at bar 65. So I believe this is the climax of the piece. There's a forte there. We want to get really big here and emphasize that highest chord. I like to do a retard just before that. Then you're going to see that another big part on this page is here at bar 69. You could treat this like a cadenza where you start slow, gradually accelerate, and then slow down again because there's a rientando. Then there's a stretto here, which means suddenly faster, and then the next measure has a ritenuto, which means suddenly slower. And hold that fermata, freeze. In the right hand, the quarter notes that have up stems, that's the melody. And we want to make sure we're connecting with our fingers and holding the quarter notes for the full value. And connect the notes in the left hand here too. What I do with the pedal here is I tap every left hand note. Just tap it, tap, 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 and hold it. And I'm really connecting with my fingers. The pedal is there just to add a little bit of resonance. This is when you get to bar 77, there's a molto legato, which means to play very smooth and connected. Practice your right hand a lot without the pedal and stay close to the keys. That will help with accuracy. Also notice that the highest note of each triplet is moving down chromatically. So that's a nice pattern to notice. You want to connect the notes in the left hand here. Because of the slur, I'm lifting my thumb each time, but I'm connecting the other notes. This is a difficult section because the left hand is jumping a lot. So memorize the right hand at least so that you don't have to worry about those notes. Just make sure you know these notes really well, so that you can watch your left hand jumping higher and lower. You could even consider memorizing this section just so that you can watch your hands. As far as pedaling goes, I change every left hand chord because the right hand has a lot of notes, triplets, so that helps with clarity. So change, 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 change. And there's a stretto here. I like to ease into the stretto. Stretto means to play suddenly faster, but I find that's really difficult here. So I like to ease into it and gradually accelerate. And so elbow, elbow. I like to do a retard here at the end of the page to transition into the next part. The left hand has the melody here, so we want to bring that out, but the right hand you'll notice has some dynamics too, so we want to emphasize the highest note of the arpeggio here at bars 85 to 88. And start slow here, crescendo. practice the right hand alone, you'll notice this pattern in the right hand. You have an A diminished seventh chord here. Use your elbow, move it out for accuracy. Then here you have an E diminished seventh chord. Then here, your right hand has F major inversions. And practicing in blocked chords like that can help clean this page up. This is a difficult section where the accelerando is. Your accelerando means to gradually get faster. So I like to start the section slow. And as you move higher, make sure you're leaning your body. That will help you to play the notes clean. And try to relax, try to stay relaxed as you're playing faster. And when you get to the top and you've got the repetition, keep your elbow up and try not to let your thumb slam down onto the keys and accent. So try to stay relaxed. And you can do a retard on the last one then. So start slow. Two, three, four, freeze. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do a retard on the last chord and hold that chord for a while. There's a fermata, and slowly lift your hands and slowly lift that pedal so that the note gradually fades. So this odd tempo, you can make sure you count so that you're playing that in time, and then you could do a little bit of a retard at the very end. The squiggly lines on the rolled chords, sometimes you'll see two lines that are separated, so a bass clef squiggly line and a treble clef squiggly line, and that means you're going to play the chords at the same time, but you're going to roll them at the same time. If you see a continuous squiggly line from the bass clef to the treble clef, that means you're going to start with the left hand and gradually work up to the right hand. Like that. And I've seen the squiggly lines both ways on this piece in different editions. I hope you found this video helpful. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this piece. I hope you enjoy your practicing on this beautiful nocturne.